Today, we're going to talk about seeing the palace. We'll talk about the most important explanations for seeing the palace. We'll also know when it's time to see, and when it's unwelcome to see. We'll know with some sight of the mansion whether we're buying it, or that we let him in to see the door of the palace. Also, we'll see the meaning of, seeing the palace of the unknown if we find that there's a dead person who owns a mansion. We'll also know what it means if you see this vision in a naked woman or a married woman or a man or a pregnant woman. Firstly, the palace is seen by the public as a symbol of the benefits and status that the king can achieve. The palace is also a symbol of money, prestige, and social status, as well as a symbol of prosperity. Or seeing a mansion that's uninhabitable. The fact that some of the symbols may be meaningless to Mahmud sometimes indicates a possible punishment for the perpetrator. Sometimes it can indicate a possible prison he's in. Also, seeing the palace from the symbols that indicate the flag and the uniform we have mentioned is useful. When the shepherd sees that he has entered a large and spacious palace, and his form is sweet, it's a symbol of goodness, of how much money the wealthy have, of how much money they have. It also heralds prosperity with improved material conditions. Entering the palace is also symbolic if it's an unmarried person, if it's an unmarried man or unmarried girl. It's a symbol that heralds marriage and connection. The palace's expansive, sweet-shaped violin heralded the realization of the dreams and goals he had been striving to achieve. When the view sees that he has entered the palace and sees that he is in the form of sweetness and means inexpensive things, from the view that indicates joy and happiness will enter his life, as well as from the symbols that indicate status. And to my eyes, as beautiful as the palace is, and as valuable as the things that are in it. When a man sees that he has entered a palace made or built of clay, he will be filled with the symbols that promise him wealth and prosperity, and much prosperity. When he sees that there is any damage to the palace, whether he sees that the palace has been burned or that there is any malfunction or any damage, unfortunately from vision that indicates problems or worries, he can be exposed to them, may sometimes indicate a possible oppression he is subjected to. And this oppression will come from behind a person who will be this person's authority and has a hand. The palace is both large and spacious, with a generous provision, and also with a luxurious awe. When a man sees that he has entered a palace, and the palace is abandoned or uninhabitable, it sometimes indicates the sorrow of a period of time in which he will be in a loss. Violin palace opposite remained when he saw he entered a beautiful palace. It's sometimes a sign of his closeness to God and the good people in his life. It's also a vision of status and prestige among people, especially when he sees that he owns this palace. The flag of many palaces is when a man sees either a man or a woman that he is walking in the middle of many beautiful palaces. It's visions that hint at his victory as well as his status, as well as his marriage to a woman who will be beautiful. Seeing the palace door as the seer sees whether it's a man or a woman looking at the palace door. Seeing the door of the palace open and seeing that it is open, he entered it in a dream and answered an invitation. It's also an omen of marriage. Whether you marry a beautiful woman, it's a woman with money and a business, or a race girl who's willing to marry a man who's going to have money and a business. The opening of the palace door is also a symbol of a person entering a new phase of his life. And it heralds a new beginning in the life of the clairvoyant in general. And the beginning D will be a happy beginning, and it will be beautiful. The door of the palace, when he sees that it is beautiful and its form is sweet and valuable with the satisfaction of visions that indicate happiness and joy. Either when he sees that he's trying to open it, he's not happy, he opens it, or the door is locked, and he doesn't know how to open it in any way, it's a sign of difficulty, it's a sign of helplessness, it's a sign of disappointment. Sometimes it's a sign of delay in marriage, or it's a sign of difficulty in marriage. The abandoned mansion, too, when he sees an unknown mansion, boundless and empty, indicates that he's been through a period of tension and anxiety. It could be that the stress and anxiety is caused by someone with power or power. So also the dead, when we see him sitting in a palace, will be a sign to us of his good end and his well-being in the other house. The girl before you sees the pleasure of the palace. I take heed of what we have said, which indicates marriage. And the less sweet and precious the husband would be, so does entering the palace of visions that herald her wealth and livelihood, and the fulfillment of her dreams, and the fulfillment of her ambition. Seeing the unmarried girl at the palace door is one of the visions that indicate to the guardian whether her father or someone else is looking after her. For the unknown palace or the void, there is no limit. Unfortunately, there's no indication that she's going to live through a period of some anxiety or some fear. Sometimes it can also indicate that there's an interlocutor who will propose to her. This little address would be hard to print. A married woman also, when she sees the palace, heralds happiness, stability, and abundant joy in her life. When you see her and her husband inside, it's a sign of an end to a disagreement or an end to problems. A pregnant woman, when she sees the palace, has an easy delivery and also an easy delivery. The sweeter the palace, the easier the birth would be. The violent hour in her life, or her husband's life. This is a summary of the most important interpretations related to seeing the palace in a dream. We talked about it in general. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or inquiries, write to me below. I'll have God's blessing on you. Thank you very much. And I'll see you in a new video, God willing. I'll see you.